Hey, everybody, welcome to Culture by Numbers, a new podcast where data geeks meet pop culture and we dive deep into ways that marketers, data scientists, and ad practitioners can collaborate with brands looking to utilize tools for performance. Today, we have a special post-election episode to discuss the impact of recent economic and current events with the election cycle in the United States. With me to discuss the potential impacts on consumer behavior and market mix modeling is Gabriel Mohanna, CEO and co-founder of MMMlabs.ai, a SaaS technology firm around advertising analytics based outside of LA that aim to revolutionize MMM and drive adoption of correct uses of modeling technique to prevent marketers from making the wrong budget decisions. Welcome, Gabriel. Nice to have you on the podcast.
Good to have you too.
Thanks. So just to start out as an intro, what is the value and benefit of MMM and MMM Labs in particular?
So the value of MMM Labs is that we're building a community of MMM practitioners that can use trusted open source code so we can shape the future of marketing mix modeling with transparency and accuracy. The purpose of marketing mix modeling is to provide a leveled playing field of understanding which media impacts sales and be able to compare them. But doesn't just stop at media. It also looks at potential pricing effects, distribution effects, or seasonality or macroeconomic variables that may have impact on your sales and your performance overall.
Absolutely. So it's a fundamental pillar for data scientists and marketing scientists like ourselves. But given that one of the fundamental factors in accurate forecasting includes accurate economic data like unemployment, interest rates, what can we tell marketers about whether or not there will be an impact on models with Trump's proposed tariffs that he's talked about, with increasing 60% of the goods from China and elsewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think marketing mix modeling can definitely help with that. If you look at tariff changes, this is a common thing that happens in marketing mix modeling. We will look at the previous data and we see if there are potential impacts in the past. We were lucky that this is Trump's second term. So in his first term, he did impose some tariffs. So we can go back to the data and include some kind of indicator variables to see if there was a true economic shift of these impacts and their of these tariffs and their impact on sales. That's one way we can boost performance in the model and see if further changes can impact sales further.
So in a sense, having a historical return helps with looking at what happened in the past. But so do you think that with the tariffs, there's going to be some price sensitivity to goods and services? Do you expect it to have a small or a large impact?
I mean, tariffs from economic theory works like tax. And with tax, it basically changes the consumer willingness to buy certain products. Tax can be incorporated into marketing mix modeling with a macroeconomic variable called inflation. So that can be incorporated as well. And if we expect even a higher inflation with the new 60% tariffs that he's proposing, we can model that and see, is it going to impact sales?
Great. So do you think it's going to have a small or large impact? There's been inflation around the world, right? Like hyperinflation in Latin America and other parts of the world. Do you expect it to have a small or a large impact?
Personally, I think it will have a large impact. Marketing mix modeling is a global practice. So if you look at developing economies or semi-developed economies, either that can have a population growth or a high very inflation. Countries like Turkey, countries like India, they kind of have that aspect. And so if we include that, we notice oftentimes maybe sales are decreasing because there's a very, very high inflation rate. So I think it's going to be high, but we need to see the results.
That's great to hear about the global relevance of modeling and how there are nuances depending on the country and the individual behaviors of the local economy. But to be somewhat controversial here, some brand marketers have claimed MMM is dead and that the directional advice is all that you need. Is MMM dead?
That's a great question, and I hear that a lot. I heard that about a few years ago that MMM dead, but the opposite is happening. If you look at marketing mix modeling on Google Trends, it's spiked extremely high, and there are SaaS companies that are popping up that can measure marketing mix modeling. It has been evolving though, so it's going from a closed source code to open source code, and that kind of brings transparency. Marketing mix modeling, it used to be focused only on offline channels, but nowadays it includes digital channels. So the new MMM is different. It's open source, it's real time, it also has AI enhancements. And it's being adopted by multiple agencies and multiple advertisers.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I remember that most of these models were completely black box. When I was at an agency, it was like their way or the highway. You either got it and then that was it, and you just took the results once a quarter.
Trust us is what they used to say, but our code is you can't see how it works.
And so there's finally looking underneath the hood and being able to decipher those black box modeling. So what are some of the recent examples of MMM applications and their common pitfalls?
A recent example of MMM is using it both for offline media, online media. That's in terms of the media, but also looking at offline sales channels and digital sales channels, because the premise is that an advertisement doesn't affect the advertisement of a particular sales channel, but it might have a cross effect. That's where I see most of the advancements over there, or the uses of marketing mix modeling. So compare that to multi-touch attribution within a single publisher, where it looks at just one publisher effect. Marketing mix modeling is now being used for cross-publisher effects.
Exactly.
Like I've said before, the common pitfalls in marketing mix modeling is continuous reliance on closed source code. Advertisers now, especially that there are open source code, if they have a data scientist, they can run that code and understand what's happening. They can go back again to their media agency and say, actually, we have models that have different conclusions. That's what happens when you have closed source code. So if the model is not accessible and the details are not accessible, the clients and the advertisers stop trusting it. Another pitfall is to use a single modeling technique. Like they might use ordinary least squares, OLS, and they use it everywhere. That's a good intro machine learning model, but there are more advanced ones that can give you better conclusions or different conclusions. Another pitfall is not to think about the data collection process. 70% of marketing mix modeling projects is a data collection. So if we focus only on the modeling, we're solving only 10% of the problem and ignoring 70% of it.
So it's always that whole adage that garbage in and garbage out. And now with the diversity of channels, not just online and offline, but social and plethora of different types of publishers, the data collection can become pretty unwieldy. And as you said, it's not one size fits all model now. So I'm really excited about this opportunity to revolutionize and transform and open transparency. So there's collaboration in looking at tweaking the models for better accuracy. So everyone's talking about AI. How do you see AI simplifying the MMM process, or at all? I mean, do you believe that AI can help with MMM?
Absolutely. AI reduces the manual labor that goes into marketing mix modeling. You can chat with your AI agent and collect and cleanse the data within an AI system, so that way it's ready for marketing mix modeling. There are some AI out there that the models are being run by the chatbot, but where it comes interesting is that the model interpretation is no longer has a human bias in it. So you can give the results to an AI system and says, well, what has worked, what didn't, why? It doesn't shy away from hiding dirty details. Some marketing recommendations based on MMM might have weak evidence. Typically in a presentation, that's never mentioned. They say the recommendation is X. AI would say the recommendation is X, but this has a weak value or a weak signal that we've noticed, so use it with a grain of salt.
So to summarize, I think you're saying that the operational efficiency for data collection and data automation can be benefit from AI, as well as some summary interpretation that is unbiased in the collection and interpretation of that data is also a potential agent's use of AI in the summary of the insights from the data. So that's really awesome. Is there something you could demo or show us around that, and what key features to look for in an MMM solution that has some of that data collection capability or insight summary generation?
Sure. There are like 5 areas you need to look for in a marketing mix modeling application. And to be frank, MMM Labs is building such an application. And the 5 areas you need to focus on is number 1 is data collection. You need to look at modeling. You need to look at results, scenario planning, and the fifth one is the insight generation in terms of actual recommendation of what goes into like actual deck. So I'll share with you just a brief intro to MMM Labs application where you see these areas. So here is a starter guide for a simulated data that we created. You can define your brands, upload your data, configure variables, run the models, see the results in the insights, run some scenarios, and finally generate everything into a slide deck that can be presented to a CMO level.
It's like an end-to-end platform for everything that an MMM person would need, start to finish.
Absolutely. So you look at the data to start with. We look at the data connections. You're able to upload data directly to the platform, but you should be able to connect to different data sources, either digital publishers, potentially Nielsen when that's available, or you can connect to unemployment rates or other macro variables, or even databases that you have in-house. I would also show you that after we build the connection, we have a data validation layer that incorporates, look at your sales, marketing, and most importantly, this thing called the data readiness. So before data is like, I click on this, we can show you with our AI system what we observed about your data, and we can tell you where to fix some stuff before you start the modeling.
I love that feature because many a night has been spent trying to clean up the data, make sure it's accurate, that there's nothing missing. It's almost like a diagnostic test to see how the data health. And
exactly. I would say the most important feature is the model setup, where you're able to run multiple different models. So far, we've built Robin, IMC marketing. We have ordinary least squares, and we're looking into Google Lightweight and hopefully whenever Meridian is available. Once you build all the models, you can compare them, but some people look at the ROI summary and they want to understand what worked and what didn't really work. And we have like examples visually to see what worked and what didn't.
Excellent.
Last, I can go further.
I was going to ask the scenario planner. So you can run your own transformations if you tweak the model.
You can create scenarios if you like. You can give it some names. This is a test scenario. You can give it a description. You have the option of optimizing a fixed budget, recommend a new budget, or meet a revenue goal. And it can tell you where to spend your money to optimize your sales. You have different optimization goals. You can have revenue, ROI, or profits. So it's not focused on just
so some customization there. Okay, excellent. And then there's also an agent layer, right?
This is the key. Let me share it again. You can go to the AI agent, and you can how do you interpret the result. We have a few prompts that you can use if you want to say what's the best performing channel, how can I optimize my media mix based on the results. We build integrations with our platform, and we build it with OpenAI, so that way we can do the computations ourselves and we send the results for interpretation to AI agents. And that could be with OpenAI, but it could be with Anthropic or Google Gemini, depending on our client's preferences.
So you can choose your LLM model to do the training and the testing, but this is a very simple, no-code user experience for non-data scientists to ask actual use case business examples of questions they would like to have answered, and it's all with a front-end UI. That's self-service. So that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that demo with us. So if you are an advertiser or an agency, you want to kick the tires and try to learn more about MMM Labs and think this can help, what should they do?
Well, the easiest way is go to our website, marketingmmlabs.ai, and there's a button right at the top right that says book a demo. We're happy to talk with you about the problems that you have. Maybe you already have a marketing mix modeling solution that either you created yourself and you're struggling with. We can help you fine tune it, or you can use our platform.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for coming today to talk about some of the analysis behind the impact of political world events, such as the election of a new U.S. president, that's going to usher in a different paradigm as far as hopefully fixing unemployment and inflation. And I guess we'll check back in a year, Gabriel, to see how those models perform.
What I would say, the most important thing is that don't wait for a year to run your marketing mix modeling. Run it every month. If there's a change of recommendations, understand why and run them. And that's the main feature that I am trying to build. Is not don't wait a year till you get a bad report card about what went wrong. If it's wrong at within a month, within 2 months, or mid-year, we will give you. You should have recommendations from your marketing mix modeling, whether it's us or somebody else.
Absolutely. That used to be the case where you get an annual report on MMM and it's already so historical that it's descriptive and not prescriptive or even predictive. So the value and the advantage of MMM can be interpreted as coming too little too late. So that's a very healthy reminder to keep your models tuned and to do tweaking of the model on a more consistent, regular basis with higher frequency. So thanks again, Gabriel. It was really a pleasure to talk with you today, and I look forward to sharing some of your resources to the listeners today. And that's Culture by Numbers. Thank you for listening to this episode.